You've probably heard the news. Claude is now inside Microsoft Copilot. So is Standalone Claude still worth using? Here's the catch nobody's telling you. In the UK, it's off by default. Your admin controls it, and switching it on is a data boundary decision, not a toggle you own. So the real question for you today isn't the hype, it's this. On an actual change management task, is Claude worth reaching for alongside Copilot? Let me show you. No sponsorship, both tools, one real task. Today's task, a stakeholder communication plan for a new payroll system going live in 6 weeks for a workforce of permanent employees, contractors, and consultants. Payroll is high stakes. People get anxious about pay, and that mix means the comms can't be one size fits all. I'm comparing what you can actually access today. Standalone Claude on Claude AI against Copilot's own engine. And notice I'm choosing GPT in Copilot on Think Deeper, its best reasoning mode, not the Claude option Microsoft just added to the picker. I want Copilot's own engine against Standalone Claude. Otherwise, I'd be comparing Claude against Claude, which totally would not make sense. We're going to use the same restructured prompt in both. Input, fair test. Let's begin. We are going to start the demo in Copilot. I'm going to make sure that we select the Think Deeper mode as explained earlier. And just to show you, there's the Opus Claude mode here. But for fairness, we're going to use Copilot's Think Deeper mode. And here is the prompt using the read model. Role, end goal, audience, and details. So the role, you're an experienced change manager supporting the rollout of a new payroll system. The end goal is to produce a stakeholder communication plan that ensures all staff understand what's changing, when and what they need to do, minimizing confusion, payroll errors and anxiety about pay continuity. The audience, a diverse workforce including permanent employees, contractors and consultants, each with different levels of organizational involvement, communication channels and concerns about the change. And lastly, I put details. New payroll system goes live in 6 weeks. Staff needs to verify personal bank details in the new system, understand the cutover date, know who to contact with payroll queries. The plan should include a key message per audience segment, recommended channels, email, intranet, team briefings, etc., a timeline of comms touch points from now to go live, and a short FAQ addressing likely concerns. The tone should be clear, reassuring, and free of jargon. This is going to non-technical staff, including contractors who may not check internal comms as often as permanent staff. So let's put this into Copilot and see what it comes up with. So Copilot has given me stakeholder communication plan for the new payroll system rollout. Communication objectives. The communication plan should ensure that all staff, and it's again highlighted what I've requested. The core message, we are introducing a new payroll system to improve how payroll information is managed, etc. Audience segments and the key messages. They've raised here the likely concerns, such as, will I still be paid on time? Do I need to do anything? You know, that whole what's in it for me. Key messages, the new payroll system goes live in 6 weeks. Your pay continuity is a priority. It's essential basically that people provide their bank details. Recommended channels, contractors, their likely concerns and key messages, and recommended channels as well here. Will my payment be delayed? Key messages, the payroll system change may affect how your payment details are held and checked. And recommended channels again. And then it's done the same for consultants, their likely concerns. Does this apply to them? Basically, key messages, such as if you're paid through payroll, you must verify your personal bank details again. Recommended channels, direct email. Then we have people managers and team leaders, likely concerns. What do I need to tell my team? Which is very, very important because, as you know, most employees will go to their managers when they receive communications about this or hear about the communications on the grapevine if they haven't seen it. Key messages, managers play a key role in making sure staff understand and complete the required actions. Recommended channels, manager briefing emails, team briefing packs, etc. And then you've got the payroll, HR and support teams. You know, how will they handle the queries coming in? what are the escalation routes, the key messages here, recommended channels, and then it's given me a communications timeline, 6 weeks before go live. So the initial announcement, who the audience is, in this case, all staff, contractors and consultants, email, intranet and Teams would be the channel that they have put here. And then it goes on to give you, the following weeks of what should take place and when from a communication strategy. And recommended communication channels, it says emails, best for official messages and direct action requests, intranet, central location for guidance, FAQs and updates, etc. Additional channels for contractors and consultants. Because contractors and consultants may not check internal channels frequently, direct email to their own contact details. That's a good point there. And what else do we have here? Hiring manager or contract manager follow-up. Key message framework, what is changing? We are moving a new payroll system. This will change how payroll information is held, etc. It's given us a number of different messages. Draft communications touch point and reminder emails. Go live day message. Short FAQ, fantastic. I love that. It's given us FAQs here as well. And what else we got here? Practical controls to reduce confusion in payroll, and 10 success measures, recommended next steps. So it's saying here they can turn this into free reusable assets, full stakeholder communications plan for the project team, manage a briefing pack with talking points and FAQs, and number 3, staff facing payroll go live guide that can be reused for future system changes. So I think Copilot has done a great initial job here. So what we're going to now do is go into Claude and see what Claude does. Now we're going to go into Claude and we're going to use the Opus 4.8 model. And that's basically just because we know that that is very similar to Think Deeper mode in Copilot, and I want this to be a fair assessment. So I'm going to put the same prompt here, exact same prompt, no amendments, and let's see what Claude gives us. So it's actually started off very quickly giving us audience segments and key messages. It's given us permanent employees, contractors, consultants, line managers, payroll, HR, operations, exec sponsor, SLT as well. And it's given us the primary concern, the core message and the action. So let's just pull out a few here. So for exec sponsor, because I didn't actually see that on Copilot, it's saying, what's our risk exposure? Verify completion rate is the single leading indicator of a go live risk, and weekly RAG on completion percentage visible endorsements. I think that's a very good one that I didn't actually see in Copilot. Then here you've got consultants off payroll. Does this affect my invoicing and payment terms? Very similar to what Copilot said. Payment terms unchanged, only the submission route and remittance format change. Confirm bank supply details by end of week 3, for example. And then if we go down to the channel strategy, it's given us one message consistently repeated, your pay is safe, do one thing, check your details. And then the channel strategy, the channel email, best for permanent staff and all. Notes, contractors often lack reliable work email, use agent contact and personal where held. Intranet SharePoint, very similar to Copilot. SMS, Teams push, final 70 hours. It's telling you, to give it a nudge for those people to make sure that they're verifying their information. Posters and digital screens, it's given me here. Drop-in clinics and Teams in person as well. And then it's given us a timeline similar to Copilot. The comms, the audience, the channel, and message. And then it's given us FAQs, plain English, very similar to Copilot. Will I be paid on time? I'm a consultant supplier, do my payment terms change, etc. Where this plan will break, it's actually given us 3 risks worth flagging to your sponsor now, which is good. Contractors are your failure point. They don't read the intranet, etc. Verification on completion. Phishing risks spike during payroll changes. Very good call out, and that does happen. I've seen that in my own organization where emails have come through as phishing and then people have ignored them. And then I love the fact that it's done the success measures here, the percentage verified by segment, payroll error rate on the first live run versus baseline. I think Claude done a great job there as well. Now, what I'm going to do is now take this a step further, and we are going to now include some other prompts. So bear with me. They're paid through an agency, don't have access to the staff intranet, and only care about whether their pay will arrive on time during the cutover. Keep it to 100 words. So it's here put contractor's key message. As you can see, Claude has given me the response here, the contractor's key message. It's very straight to the point, a bit like how Claude actually is as an AI application. Your pay will not be late. Rate, terms and payments, dates stay exactly as they are. We're switching payroll systems on date. 2 dates matter to you, and then you put the date, last day to submit your timesheets before the switchover. Submit early if you can. Confirm your details via the link your agency sends, takes 5 minutes. Payments during and after cutover run to the same schedule as always. Any queries go to your agency contact. They escalate straight to our payroll team. We will never email you a link asking for bank details. So as you can see, it's giving me a very short and clear message. So we're going to now go over to Copilot. And now I've put that same message in Copilot, and now we're going to see what Copilot comes up with. So Copilot's formatted it as a paragraph. You are paid through your agency, so you do not need to access the staff intranet or update details in the new payroll system. The payroll system cutoff is being managed to avoid disruption to agency payments. Your priority is to make sure your agency has your correct payment details and timelines are submitted by the usual deadline. If you have any concerns about whether your pay will arrive on time, please contact your agency directly first or speak to your hiring manager if you need help escalating a query. So I think Copilot done a good job here in giving me the information that I've requested. Personally, if I received both emails, I probably would prefer Claude's email just because it specified the dates, and then it reminds me of, you know, dates when I need to go back and do whatever's been asked of me, for example. So I think that was useful. So I'm back in Copilot, and now I'm going to test the next step here. So I'm saying here, there's anxiety spreading that people might be paid late or incorrectly during the switchover. Draft a short reassuring message that calms concerns, but don't make promises we can't guarantee. Like no one will ever be paid late. Keep it honest. So let's see what Copilot does here. So short message again, we understand there are concerns about pay during the payroll system switchover. Please be reassured that pay continuity is a key focus of the cut-over planning, and additional checks are being carried out to reduce the risk of delays or errors. To help us manage this smoothly, please submit any required timesheets or payment information by the usual deadline and raise any concerns as early as possible. If an issue does arise, payroll agencies and hiring managers will work together to investigate and resolve it as quickly as possible. So I think this is a very good message, straight to the point. Again, it does give reassurance to the end user. If I receive this message, I'd think, okay, this is very honest and clear, and it's giving me, you know, direction as to what to do if an issue does arise. So I think that's a good thing here, and I think Copilot's done a good job with that messaging. Put that same message in here, and let's see what Claude does. So let's review the message from Claude here. It says, we know some of you are worried about pay during the switchover. That's a fair concern, and we'd rather be straight with you than offer reassurance we can't back up. Like that, very good opening line, very honest and transparent. Here's where we actually stand. Your pay date, rate and deductions are not changing. We're running a parallel test before go live, checking the new system's calculations against the old one, so problems are found before they reach your payslip, not after. Okay, so that's giving reassurance to the customer and user, for example, to say, you know, we are just trying to do this in the safest way possible, basically. We can't promise a change of this size will be completely flawless. What we can promise is this: if your pay is wrong or late, we will fix it fast. We have a dedicated payroll team on standby for the first 2 payrolls runs, and we will make an off-cycle payment rather than leave you waiting until next month. Okay, so that's showing there's an effort that will be made if, you know, there was a delay. The one thing that generally reduces your risk is checking your details are correct. It takes 5 minutes and they put a hyperlink here. So maybe that's a link where it would take the end user to somewhere where they need to verify their details. If you have already done it, thank you. If something looks wrong on your first payslip, contact payroll support straight away. You will not be told to wait. So I think Claude has done a very good job here, been very direct and straight to the point. I love the fact that it's included the hyperlink and also the payroll support. So I think in this instance, Claude's done a slightly better job because it's signposting people to support. And also, again, I just like the fact that it's provided that hyperlink. Let's do one final test. Here is the last prompt I'm going to put here. It says, what's the single biggest risk in this communication plan that I might have missed, and how would you fix it? Let's see how Claude will fix it. Okay, here we go. Looks like Claude is doing a lot here. So biggest risk, you have not verified ways to reach contractors, and you've built the entire plan assuming the agency will do it for you. Okay, so that's one thing it's saying here. Everything else in the plan has a channel you control, contractors don't. You've dedicated your highest risk segment to the third party with no contractual obligations to relay, no reporting line back to you, and no consequence if they don't bother. You will find out it failed on the first pay run, which is precisely when you can no longer fix it. So why this is one that bites. Contractors are most likely to have stale bank details. They move between engagements. They're the least likely to escalate quietly. An unpaid contractor stops working or goes to LinkedIn. Your overall verification percentage will look green while contractor completion sits at 40% and nobody will notice until week 5. Agencies have every incentive to say, yes, we've told them, and nothing forcing them to prove it. Let's go down and see what else it's got here. And it says the fix here. Get a named list, not a head count. Ask each agency for individual contractor names. A contractor route you can reach directly. If they refuse on data protection grounds, that's a contract conversation for your sponsors, not a comms problem. Make relay evidence, not assumed. Requires each agency to return a weekly verification count against the list. We've cascaded it. It's not evidence, a number is. And then we've got track contractor completions as its own RAG line to SLT. And then it says, overall, the honest read, this isn't a real comms gap, it's a commercial one. You're relying on goodwill from suppliers who owe you nothing on this. Get your sponsor to make it contractual expectation now. I think that Claude has given us a very, very good overview, and points raised here are very, very valid. I love the fact that it's also, stated at the end to get your sponsor to make it contractual. And the fix, the 3 moves this week, I like that. I thought that was very good, and it would definitely help the change manager or comms manager to start thinking ahead about what they can do to solve that gap that they didn't capture. Let's see now what Copilot does. Now we're back in Copilot, and now let's put that same prompt here and see what Copilot does. Single biggest risk is assuming contractors will receive, understand, and act on messages through the same route as employees. Okay, so it has both picked up the contractors as an issue. For this group, the risk is not just lack of awareness, it's ownership confusion. Contractors may think, and it's giving us some quotations as to what contractors might be thinking. So let's just pull out one here. My agency handles my pay, so I don't need to do anything. Love the fact that Copilot actually gave us these quotes here. How I would fix it: create a separate contractor payment assurance workstream. Oh, Copilot's really done well here in giving that sort of suggestion. Make the agency the primary communication route. Do not rely on hiring managers, which is true. I think Claude also says something similar in that respect. Send a clear message to agencies asking them to confirm. Give contractors one simple message. And they've given the message here. Brief hiring managers separately. Yes, good. So it's gone beyond, just talking to the agency. It's also talking about briefing hiring managers because they're an essential part of this. Set up a clear escalation route. So if something does go wrong, people are not trying to work out who owns it during a live payroll issue. And the fix in one sentence: treat contractors as agency managed payment audience, not as a subset of staff, and give them separate route, message, owner, and escalation process. That will reduce confusion for far more than adding more reminders. Oh, I think Copilot did a slightly better job here than Claude. Only the fact that it's given us those quotes, it's mentioned all the different key stakeholders here as well. I know that Claude did mention a sponsor, which is very important, and I do find it strange that Copilot doesn't bring up sponsors in their plan here. And sponsors are an essential part of this sort of process. However, I do think in this instance, Copilot did do a slightly better job. So I think it's time to score Copilot against Claude. So let's look at segmentation. Handled the diverse workforce. I'd say that Copilot done probably a 4 with that. Whilst Claude, I would say, was slightly better, and I'd give it a 5. Tone control without overpromising. I would say, oh, this is a bit of a tricky one. Copilot had good control over the tone, so I'm going to give that a 4.5. And I'm going to give Claude a 4. And then we have editing required. How sponsor ready was it? I would say in regards to Copilot, they kind of lacked the whole sponsor thing here, and I think I mentioned that, whereas Claude was better, so, and always mentioned sponsor. So for that, I would give them a 4.5. And then practical judgment, caught real risks. Oh, I would say they've both done a very good job here, but in very different ways. Claude picked up the sponsor aspect, whereas Copilot, thought about the end user and other stakeholder groups that could help with this area. So I would say they're quite equal, but I think they're quite neck and neck, but I would say Claude, in regards to the sponsorship, I think this was a hard one to really measure, because I feel like Claude and Copilot both done a great job, and whether you use Copilot or Claude to do this comms piece, I do believe that they will both deliver. But I did like the fact that Claude referred to the sponsor on a few occasions, whereas I was surprised that Copilot didn't. And I will say also that I like that Claude's messaging was very explicit when it specified, where you should add dates. I like the fact that it said, to use a link for people to verify basically their bank details. But then again, I do like how Copilot would think of how people would feel and give examples of what people might say. I like that part of it. So I think Copilot and Claude done a great job. So whether you're using Claude or Copilot, I think you will still get very good outputs. So now that I've scored Copilot versus Claude, I have to be honest and say that I do think that Claude just slightly edged over Copilot in this exercise. So I have a question for you all. So now that Claude is inside Copilot, is standalone Claude still worth it? If you want the exact read structured prompt I used today, it's in my free Claude prompt library. Link is in the description at techbiztoolkit.com/Claude prompts. If this was useful, please like this video and subscribe. I do honest, practical AI breakdowns for change professionals.